Alrighty, my friends, my name is Austin Robinson with Accounting 6650, doing presentation 4 on whistleblowers. The whistleblower that I have decided to choose is James F. Alderson. From the write-up, he blew the whistle and health giants quaked. Now, if you've ever been upset or heard about, people taking advantage of the government or certain systems that the government uses to help people with, this one will get underneath your skin just like it did for me. Yeah, it's pretty atrocious. So let's go ahead and look at it. We're going to do an introduction of the case, and then we're going to go ahead and jump midway through the case to maybe some things that Alderson could have done to improve himself and his position while he was looking at this whistleblowing scenario, and then we're going to jump into the conclusion to see what happened. So James Alderson worked for a small-town hospital in Butte, Montana. Now, he had worked for the hospital system for several years. He always knew that something was kind of fishy, something was not quite right, and that they could be doing something wrong, but he really didn't know. Well, the hospital was managed by this company called Quorum, and there was a managing consultant who was an administrator named Clyde Eder. Now, Clyde came to Alderson and essentially asked him to cook 2 sets of books. One set of books was going to be very aggressive, and it was going to claim that that there were more expenses than there actually were, and if this set of books survived a 2-year auditing process, that they were going to book any of the excess as revenue, right, for the extra expenses that they had charged. Now, if it didn't, the second set of books was going to be an everyday use book. It was going to be the correct set of books, essentially, and they could fall back on that if the aggressive set of books failed, or just use that one day-to-day for internal use. Okay, so that's kind of where Alderson is left. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the things that he could have done to deal with this. IMA has a great section. It's resolution of ethical conduct to follow as a framework for people who are looking at unethical situations. The first thing that they suggest is to discuss concerns with immediate supervisor, then proceed up each level of command until issue is heard. This may have worked for Alderson. If he would have stuck to that and gone and was able to seek help from other people, that may have improved his position. They also recommend that IMA has a hotline that they can call into. This may have given him some extra ideas or support on how to move forward, which, being confidential, that would have been extremely helpful. And then, obviously, the last one that they offer is consulting with a personal attorney on how to proceed legally. I think that is a step that he could have gone for sure, but that's obviously that's a completely different step, and he decided not to go that route. Another framework that I feel is much better suited to this case specifically was done by Joseph L. Badaracco Jr. In his write-up, "We Don't Need Another Hero." First thing that he suggests is to put things off till tomorrow when asked to do something unethical. This may have been a very valid way for Alderson to buy himself some time, talk to some people, gain some support, come up with a better game plan. I think that was a very valid solution, or a way of helping himself to solve this problem. Next thing is, kind of picking your battles, going back. He may have been able to find a different route. Instead of fighting that fight specifically, he may have been able to look at some other options. Next one is bending the rules and don't break them. There is a fine line of breaking rules. Badaracco talks a little bit about using white lies to get around situations. I don't know if this one would have worked that well because, what he was being asked to do was extremely fraudulent. And then the last one may have been the best, find a compromise. There may have been a way for Alderson to find a compromise to make things work so then the hospital was still being successful and then he would have kept his job. Looking at the conclusion, what ended up happening is that Alderson essentially told Eder, no, I'm not keeping 2 sets of books. I don't think that that's right. He even went on to tell him, I don't keep 2 sets of tax returns. Why am I going to help this hospital keep 2 sets of books? Eventually, what ended up happening is that Alderson was terminated soon after. He filed for a wrongful termination lawsuit, as well as started a whistleblower lawsuit against the corporate hospital conglomerate. as a part of the United States government. So, jointly with the United States government, he started this. The United States government jumped on board, and after years and years of fighting this lawsuit with multiple different government agencies, the hospital corporation was found guilty, and they were charged $80 million, which Alderson was awarded 25% of because of his whistleblower help. So that's kind of what ended up happening. There were some things that Alderson could have done a little bit better, maybe to keep his job, because he faced financial ruin, as well as his family went through a really hard time because of his actions. This is a very good example of making decisions before whistleblowing, and then ultimately whistleblowing when you can't do anything. I hope that you enjoyed this presentation. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.